I did the right thing, but I don't necessarily feel good about it. What's up, comic and pop culture fans? This is James with Minhunter Comics. By the way, please go ahead and subscribe. We do videos like this at least twice or 3 times a week, and we have a lot of fun here on the channel. So if you like that sort of stuff, I try to keep it pretty varied. Hit that subscribe button and you can see a lot more. Apologize for the mess. We're sort of in the process of moving, and there's just no good lighting spot in this entire house. So hopefully the new house is going to change that. So I know you guys like the story style videos, so I got one for you here today. And there was a guy that came in, I forget if it was Wednesday or Thursday. I work Wednesday and Thursdays at the antique shop. Came into the antique shop right in Pennington, New Jersey. So this is the town in which we have the shop. This was a foot traffic guy, not someone because of the YouTube channel. Initially, he said he was looking for DVDs. We don't have DVDs, but we do have laser discs and some other things. He couldn't find what he was looking for, but in our conversations before he was leaving the building, he was like, oh, you do comics? Oh, I see. Cool. I actually do have some comics that I did get from my uncle. I'm trained that when I hear that, I'm like, take my business card, give me a call. And I told him about the YouTube. I was like, there's a YouTube thing where I get collections in sometimes, sometimes not. I make a video about the collection I get in. Could be cool. I'd love to see what you got. He was describing it as 70s and 80s. I was like, listen, basically the farther you go back, the better it's going to be. I was like, there are plenty of decent 80s books. 70s is even better. And if you got any 60s, that's even better. So I did the whole spiel. A lot of times this will actually happen. People will come into the shop and they'll mention that they have comics. You never see them again. This guy actually showed up technically after closing hours. So it was after 5 o'clock. I was still putting some stuff away and he showed back up with a small box of comics. And I was like, oh, okay. So, I always make time for comics. Who gives a crap that we were closed, right? You make time. The books on top are just like kind of random 80s indie stuff and not the stuff that fetches any real value. So I'm like, okay, this is what we're looking at, blah, 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 blah. So I get to some of the 70s stuff and it really opens up. Right on top is Marvel Premiere #1. Okay. And everything was about between like a 7 and an 8. So very respectable for 70s. And then I see he has like the first 15 issues of Astonishing Tales. There's some good keys in there. First appearance of Bobby Morse, first appearance of, I almost said Swamp Thing, first appearance of Man Thing, in comics, second appearance, all that. And then we get to the Hulks. And you can kind of probably imagine where this is going. We're talking about the 70s. So I'll just tell you, he had 180, 181, 182. The books you want to see if you have a 70s collection. Frankly, we know it as like the best 70s book out there, essentially. So I'll tell you my reaction to all this stuff in the end. I just want to let you know what was in here for context. It actually did get better. In addition to the good 70s books I've described, it did keep going back. He had some really early Tales to Astonish, like really early stuff. He had a little pocket of mystery in space. He had some House of Secrets, pre-Swamp Thing. He had a little pocket of Brave and the Bold that did include First Justice League. Fun fact, I think that's the first time I've ever actually held a copy. I could be wrong, but I never see that book, so that was really cool. And then like the last 10 books were all Golden Age books, all superhero Golden Age books, I should maybe clarify. So there were some all-star comics. Most notably, my favorite one is, I forget what issue it is, but it has Solomon Grundy on the cover and a couple really early numbered Superman, including some of the ones that have a big wartime collector's base, big price tag associated with them. So why am I making this video? Well, I got to tell you what he said next. So he said, it's really a nuisance more than anything. My daughter doesn't want it, and I'm really hoping to get a couple $100. Why you got to present me with such an ethical dilemma? If I was a different guy, I can actually feel the exact moment. when I'm presented with a decision. I could lowball him and, get some crazy good books. I feel that part of my brain that wants to do that, but I can't. I can't do that. I've discussed that before. In addition to just the right thing and the wrong thing to do, the whole ethics basis when you buy collections, I think there is added pressure because of the YouTube channel. Basically, you could get canceled thing over my head. In addition to, obviously, I was gonna do the right thing, there is always the pressure of like, listen, man, if you got caught basically giving some guy $100 for thousands of dollars, that would be a really bad look and the whole gig could be up, sort of thing, right? So I did what I always do when I have walk-ins. Type it in, show him the fair market values, spin the laptop around, show him, look at this book, look what this can do. Next book, All-Star Comics 30 whatever, the Solomon Grundy cover. Look at what this book can do, spin the laptop around. And he was just amazed that he actually had anything good and that he actually had many things that were good. So I told him, like, it sounds like your uncle wasn't just like a reader fan. He was actually a collector. Like, he intentionally bought these books specifically. I'm honestly surprised he didn't mention anything in a will to you. I was like, there's some very serious value. I'm happy to be your guy. I don't normally do consignments, but with this tier of books, maybe we could talk about that. I am also, right now, paying really high through the month of March, more than my typical percentage to get really good books in. This could have been a really big win for the shop. And unfortunately, he was like, okay, this is honestly really cool. I want to spend more time with it. I want to think about it. Maybe this is something that I'm going to try to re-get my daughter into. He mentioned at first that his daughter wasn't into it at all. Maybe she'll be into it when she hears the price tag. He's going to try to get his kid into it, and it looks like there's not really a situation I could get it. I was definitely doing the whole, listen, man, when you do want to sell it, come back to me. But at that point, I could see it in his eyes. He saw the stars, he saw the gold. He wanted to keep it. How quickly he became from, I want to get rid of this stuff, to, wow, I've got a little bit of gold mine, which he did have a little bit of a gold mine. We wrapped up at this point. It was like past 6:30. My wife was like, dude, where the hell are you? You're supposed to be home for dinner. And I had to explain, like, I did the right thing, but I don't necessarily feel good about it. I do. I know it's always good to do the right thing. It's good to educate people on what they got. But if I was just a little bit of a bad person, I could have had some pretty crazy books. I made a video talking about what's the ethical thing to do when you're buying collections. And to my surprise, the consensus was, if they present you an offer, it's okay to accept it, even if it's low. Not what I expected when I made that video. I thought everybody was going to be on the bandwagon of like, no, you always do the right thing. But it turns out the majority of people think that if you're presented with an offer, even though you know what's in there, you're allowed to take it. But what you can't do is have someone ask you, hey, you're a professional, what do you think this is worth? And then proceed to tell them it's worth like $50. That's when you run into a real problem. They put their trust in you. You're supposed to be a professional appraiser or whatever. In my case, professional YouTube entertainer / comic buyer. You cannot break that. And I think that's a really good thing. But it does mean you're going to miss out occasionally on some real meat and potatoes books. Whatever, though, we're putting some stock into later comic karma. Maybe the comic karma gods will remember me in my next flea market find. I'll find first Solomon Grundy or whatever, Got to keep the hope alive, keep the positivity. I love you all. Something to think about. Drop it in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. I'll see you at the next video. Make sure to come on down to Sentiment Depot's Antiques and Collectibles, located at 238 West Delaware Ave in Pennington, New Jersey. Find so many great books for just $1 and the lowest prices on key comics around. Enjoy a huge selection of graded comics priced up to 20% lower than current fair market value. We are open from Wednesday to Sunday, closed Monday, Tuesday. You got a collection you want to sell? Bring that too. Can't wait to see you there.